All right, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. Once again, welcome to our virtual Field Trips Expo. My name is Rachel Gosney. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager at Adopt a Class. We are so happy that you all could join us, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn about some incredible virtual field trip and virtual programming options that are available to you as you are doing your mentoring sessions for the rest of the year. I have a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session is going to be really highly interactive. We have a lot of great speakers, so make sure you have your camera on and your microphone off so that you can hear all of them as they're presenting. You can go ahead and use the chat function if you have any questions or any comments at any time, and also use any of those awesome reaction features that Zoom has available to us. I also want to introduce Marie Resenkovich from Adopt a Class. She's our COO, and she's going to be running the chat today. So if you guys have any questions or any technical difficulties throughout this session, just go ahead and message her. A reminder that everything that's going to be shared today, we're going to be following up with you with an email after this session with all of the information that each of our speakers share. So you can give your undivided attention. You don't have to worry about taking notes because we'll have all of that information for you afterwards. And so we have 8 amazing partner organizations here today that are going to speak to you. So let's go ahead and test out those reaction buttons at the bottom of the screen. Give them a thumbs up or a round of applause, because they are awesome and they have taken a lot of time to put together these resources for you. So we really appreciate that. And like I said, thank you to all of those partner organizations that are joining us. They have a lot to share, so we're only going to give them about 3 to 5 minutes each to share out all of their amazing virtual programming that they have for you. So what we're going to do is that in the case that you have any questions throughout the session, just let us know and just put them in the chat. So we're going to wait until each of the presentations is over before we take any questions. So we'll have one presentation go so that if you are afraid you're not going to remember or you don't want it to slip your mind, put it in the chat and we'll make sure to get to it at the end. Last but not least, again, we're going to share this information with you out afterwards, so don't worry about missing a thing. So with that, let me pull up the presentation and we can go ahead and get started. All righty. So first up, we have the Cincinnati Observatory. We have all of the slides here. Natalia, thank you so much for joining us. Let me know if you need me to change any slides, but I will go ahead and pass the torch over to you, and you can go ahead and get started and start sharing out all the virtual resources you all have.
Okay, absolutely, sure. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having an awesome day today. My name is Natalia Tooley, and I'm an educator with the Cincinnati Observatory. So at the observatory, we have been doing virtual field trips for about a year now. Pretty much right after everything shut down, we started trying to figure out a way that we could stay in contact with teachers virtually and still be able to do some of our programs that we've always done. And we've also created quite a bit of new virtual programming as well. And so now we've just started to open up just a little bit and do some really small socially distant in-person programming as well. So if you have unusually small class sizes and your students are comfortable with wearing masks and social distancing and all that stuff, we do some outreach as well as small field trips. But we're mostly doing virtual programs because we understand that that's easiest for most people right now. So if you could change slide. All right, perfect. So hopefully you guys are able to see this whole picture here, but at the observatory, one of the things that makes us special is we are the oldest public observatory in the United States. And so we love to talk about outer space. And we also have the oldest telescope in the United States as well. So one of the many virtual programs that we offer is a telescope tour. And so you get to see this telescope that's in this picture here, which is the oldest telescope in the United States, 176 years old. And then we also have, if you could change the slide, we have another telescope as well. It's a 22-foot long refracting telescope that is 116 years old. And so we have both in-person tours that we can do and virtual tours that we can do of these telescopes, but we also have a variety of other virtual topics that we cover as well. And so some of the virtual topics that we cover, we have 9 kind of regular programs that we do that you can choose from. Some of those topics include planets, comets and meteors, constellations, tour of the universe, and many other things. But we can also do customized programming for you as well. So if there's a specific topic, outer space related topic that we don't offer a program on, but you would like us to do a program on, we can always customize that for your class. Or if you would like a combination of programs that we offer, say if you would like a program that is half planets, half moons, we can do that as well. And so we have kind of a variety of different tactics that we use to try to keep our programming as interactive for the kids as possible. So we use the chat a lot, and we'll ask them a lot of questions to kind of get them thinking critically and have them answer those questions in the chat or by raising their hand. And we also have them ask their own questions that they have for us in the chat as well. We use a lot of polls and quiz questions, and we use a lot of props as well. So we'll pull out our planet models. We have some space rocks, real life space rocks that we'll show them. And we also have computer programs, like, for example, I don't know if you guys can see where there's a little picture of Saturn there. That's a little program that we use that shows basically a computer simulation of what outer space looks like. So we'll go show them a close-up of all the different planets, show them what the Milky Way galaxy looks like, what some other galaxies look like. So those are some of the props that we like to use to be able to keep our programs as interactive and also as visually stimulating as possible for the students. You could go ahead and switch slides. Okay, so all of our programming, whether it is in-person field trips, in-person outreach, or virtual programming, it's all free for all schools. So no matter what your free and reduced lunch rate is, whether you're a public school, private school, homeschool, all of our programming is free to all schools. And so if you are interested in doing any programming with us, you can either go to our website, which is cincinnatiobservatory.org, or you can contact me at my email, which is natalia@cincinnatiobservatory.org. I will be sure to give that information to Adopt a Class so they can make sure to send that your way after this program is over. So that's all for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. At this time, if you guys have any questions for Natalia, go ahead and put them in the chat and we will make sure to get to them at the end. Thank you so much for sharing. And we will go ahead and move on to our next presentation, which is from the Cincinnati Museum Center. And Tony, you will go ahead and start sharing for us, and you can start talking about all the great programs that the Cincinnati Museum Center has to offer.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I'm Tony Lawson. I'm Senior Director of School and Teacher Partnerships at Museum Center. I would think that many of my colleagues who are joining me on the call from other organizations today would echo that over the last year, one of the pieces that we have truly missed the most are just the glorious sounds of school children and chaperones filling up our buildings and our grounds. And field trips and those outreach experiences are such a vital part of a student's experience growing up. I still remember 40 years ago, first grade field trips that I took. And so those are really important. So as we've been working throughout the last year to try to figure out how can we continue to bring that inspiration and connection to students, we've been able to adapt some of our former running programs, and we've created some new experiences that I'll be focusing on today. And so on the next slide, you will see kind of the biggest new initiative that we are moving forward with today is virtual field trips. And so these are pre-recorded web-based experiences that are providing very in-depth tours of our galleries. And we present the content in several different ways. So if you focus on the right side of your screen where we see a bunch of the dinosaurs there, you imagine that on a computer screen. So that could be a tablet, that could be up on a projector, that could be on a laptop, and you'll see icons on that screen. And as the educator or the students, because there's a lot of flexibility in how these are run, they click on an icon, it may bring up a really high resolution photo. You'll see on the top left from our Maya exhibit, a high resolution photo will pop up with an artifact and just a little bit of information and text about that artifact. Or if you click one of the purple video icons, it's going to pull up a video of one of our, on the Dino Hall, we've got our experts at the bottom who are our curatorial team and some of our educators talking about the dinosaurs or Allosaurus or Torvosaurus. You'll see the middle photo on the left is an example of what one of those video screens looks like for one of our Maya virtual field trips, which we have professors from the University of Cincinnati who have worked with the Maya to conduct research to learn about the Maya and how their culture has been challenged and continues to thrive today. And so they've gone through the exhibit and recorded a lot of content that we have in video. And then the bottom left is our Science Interactives gallery, and those are some of our educators in the videos where they're actually interacting in the exhibit, showing how the different experiences and the interactive components of the Science Interactives gallery work. Then on the next screen, we will peek over and you'll see a little bit more information about the virtual field trips. They are anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours long. And we do that because we wanted them to mimic an in-person field trip. So you think as we go through galleries, sometimes we might look at every single video and component and read everything. Sometimes we might just pick and choose. And that's okay. That's what the virtual field trips are like. They provide access for an entire week, Sunday through Saturday. And for our grant eligible schools, which I think every school with whom you are, this group, the Adopt a Class group works, are grant eligible, completely free the virtual field trips for the grant eligible schools. So you can schedule them as many times as you like and as often as you like. They can be led by the educator or by the students. And then I'll talk here in just a moment or two about the conversation with an expert. But you see the ones that we have available now, Science Interactives, 2 of them on Maya, because the Maya, we could have 10 of them on the Maya exhibit. Dinosaur Hall, the Cave is launching April 4th and Public Landing is coming in May. So lots of them to be able to offer. And then on the next slide, we'll kind of mention conversations with an expert. These are live conversations with our education team or our curatorial team, and they can talk about such a variety of experiences. If the students and you, the educator, want to hear about fossils, they can have Dr. Brenda at the top there or Dr. Glenn talk about some of the research they've done on fossils we find around here, or maybe fossils that are up in our dinosaur hall. Maybe they want to hear Dr. Heather talk about some zoology, or Bob Genheimer talk about some of the our work with Native Americans and some of the Native American artifacts that we found. So many different options, and those can absolutely be combined with the virtual field trips. And on the last slide, we have just a bit of information on how to schedule. Again, virtual field trips, grant eligible schools, as many of those as you like. Those are very easy. Those you can call. We've got the information here about everything that one would need to be able to make the reservations for the virtual field trips. Always important to begin saying you're calling to schedule and want to check grant eligibility. So if you're ready to jump in with the teacher and schedule those, that's how you do it. To schedule a conversation with an expert, I would say definitely start with me, because I would want to work with you and the educator to figure out which of our curators with whom do you want to speak and which topics. And those are ones that we're limiting right now to 1 live experience like that per classroom, just because we have so few curators and so many classes with whom we'd like to connect. And there are some other experiences, like we are now starting to host a few in-person field trips. We do have our program on wheels that do travel to schools, and we've done some of those virtually, and I can talk about those offline as well, but wanted to just focus our attention on our virtual field trips and conversations with an expert today. So thank you very much. Rachel, thank you for combining and putting the slides together. I appreciate being here.
Thank you so much, Tony. Like I said, we'll have time at the end for any questions that you guys have for Tony about the Cincinnati Museum Center virtual field trip options and other virtual experiences. If you don't want to forget them, go ahead and put them in the chat. And next up, we have Ken from the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. So Ken, you can go ahead and get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Rachel. Here at the Reds Hall of Fame Museum, we are open for business. So you can bring field trips down to the museum. We also are coming to schools. And so our outreach program is physically visiting schools. Now, those logistically, for lack of a better description, might be difficult to negotiate in our current state of affairs. So the virtual online experience is open. Our video conferences, which can be delivered via Zoom or via Google Meet, are all live video conferences. So when you would register for a program with us, it would be a live program delivered from the museum. We have 6 different education programs that we offer, and they vary in content by grade level. So we have a program that's grade K, grade 1 appropriate. We have another program that's more grade 2, grade 3 appropriate. And then some that kind of mix grade levels that might be, say, between grades 3 and 5. Others might be more grades 4 through 8. So the subjects that we cover, we have a math program, we have a science program, the science of baseball, which deals with force, friction, and air density, incorporating the scientific method. So there's a nice physical science component to trying to have the students jump outside of the textbook and think about how science could impact the way a baseball game is played. All of these programs, again, are delivered live from the museum if we're talking about a virtual interface. And they vary in length. Some could be as short as 30 minutes, others might be more of an hour and a half. So it would just kind of depend on what program you're interested in and what sort of time commitment you might have for that program. In addition to those 6 education programs, we also have live virtual museum tours. Now, when I say live, we are dealing with archive footage, but it's being delivered via live narration. So we can start and stop the video depending upon what sort of interest level you might have with your group. If we're talking about a grade K group, well, we might spend more time looking at how uniforms have changed in the last 150 years, how a baseball has changed over the last 150 years, and focus in on shapes and colors and things like that. If it's an older group, well, then we might be able to dig a little deeper into ballpark history or other elements in the museum. Again, kind of trying to craft it around your audience and what sort of interest level you might have. So those virtual museum tours could be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. The nice thing about those virtual museum tours, they are free. If it's free, it's for me. So if you want to be on a virtual museum tour, as long as we have time in the schedule for it, there is no charge for that. The education programs are $3 per student. So again, depending upon what sort of time level or time commitment you might have, interest level, grade level, financial availability, all of those things, they're scheduled on an on-demand basis. So we don't broadcast at a specific time with a specific program. It's all based on your interest, and we try to craft it and cater it to your interest level. So redsmuseum.org is the website, redsmuseum.org. And there's information there, a little bit greater description of the programs that we offer, and then contact information there as well. So thanks for everyone gathering in the virtual world, and we'll see if there are any questions at the end. Thanks, Rachel, and thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much, Ken. We really appreciate it. Yeah, as Ken said, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we can get to them at the end. And then we will go ahead and move on to our next presentation, and that is from the Cincinnati Zoo. And I will go ahead and pass it to Lucy.
Yeah. Hi there. Can everyone hear me all right? Thumbs up. Perfect. I'm using 2 different things, so I want to make sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Lucy. I'm the education registrar here at the Cincinnati Zoo. So I'm the person you talk to when you got field trips or programs or camps or classes. So you're talking with me when you're calling up here at the zoo. So we have a few things for schools at this time that we'd love to have you coming about. We're really excited to be open, and as Tony was saying before, like hearing kids in the zoo is probably just about one of the best things. So first off, we have just the classic field trips at the zoo. So these are open year round, Saturday to or Sunday to Saturday, come anytime for an in-person field trip. It's great because these, get around in the exhibits, see all the different things, get some fresh air and away from the computer if your school is able to head on out into the wild world. So you can see there, we got a few of our pictures of our kids out there. And we are doing all the safety protocols so that everyone's wearing masks and you can distance and go into smaller groups as well. For Adopt a School class, what's really important is, so we offer one free adult for every 7 students. So if you have any more adults than that, I'm sure all the adopters want to come as well. That price is only $7 per adult. So you're getting a really highly reduced rate when you're coming there with the school. One of the things will also be coming out later on this in this year, hopefully in April, will be a virtual field trip. And that will be recorded videos that go along with some of our self-guided activities. So these will be videos that are actually taken out in the zoo. Perhaps we'll be talking about herbivores and what do herbivores eat, and it'll be video taken at the giraffes, and you'll actually be working along with those activities and looking at the giraffes. And as I said, these are pre-recorded, so the teacher can look at them at any time and they have a week long to look at it. And we have a number of different activities that are going to be coming out for each of the different grade brands. So those are our field trips that will be coming, that you can come here with the zoo. If you can't make it out to the zoo, we have our virtual programs. So our virtual program, we have 2 programs. One is our Zoo on the Move, and these were our in-person programs that we used to do when we go out to schools. They've been formatted to a virtual experience. So they're still small groups, they're still very interactive, even though it's virtual. We can do it with kids that are all in a classroom, or if there's any kids that are remote, they can all log in as well. And for those, we have topics for different grade bands. So we'll have a pre-K and kindergarten, a 1st to 3rd, 4th to 6th, a 7th to 12th, and we'll have various topics within those available. And those are great because it's a chance to, I think, actually see some animals a lot closer, because you can really get that camera right in to that animal. So you might see a picture in that top left of our little tenric there. He looks like a hedgehog. I don't think in person you'd be able to get that close to a tenric. So it's kind of exciting to be able to get a little bit closer with that virtual programming. And we have topics for those all the way from habitats and the basic survival for animals, looking at, for our older kids, such like biodiversity, or even our zoo careers is very popular. As well as our Zoo on the Move program, we have another virtual program called Wild Chats. And Wild Chats are a little bit longer. They're a live program combined with some recorded videos. And we have 2 topics. One is called My BFF Fiona, and that is all about, Cincinnati's aquatic princess, Fiona the hippo, and talks all about her birth through all of her care, and includes videos, interviews with her keepers, with her care staff. And the classes can actually ask questions with the zoo educator about Fiona and that. And then our other program is for My BFF Fiona is for all ages. For 6th grade and above, we have a program all about zoo careers. So you'll get to highlight 3 zoo careers that we have here at the zoo that they'll be able to pick from, and we'll have recorded interviews with those folks. So a graphic designer, someone who works in IT, animal care staff, of course, but it's a chance to talk about all the careers that we have at a zoo. That's not just animal care. It's, all sorts of people can work at a zoo. And so that Wild Chat's a really great chance. Now, there are fees for all of these programs, from field trips to our virtual programming, but we also have a program called our Living Classroom Education Access Fund, or as I like to call it, LCEF. And that is provides funding so you can get free field trips or free virtual programs for schools that are 60% or more free or reduced lunch. So if you're working with the school, even though it's through Adopt a Class, you can still do that funding there. There's just a simple application process to just, it's more for us to take a handle on numbers, and we can get that all scheduled through for free programming and free field trips. So that's a bit here for the zoo, and as things go on, we'll have more coming around, and it's very likely that our virtual programming is going to be here until at least spring of 2022. Our in-person at school programming is going to take some time before we're able to bring that back.
All right, thank you so much, Lucy. Next up, we have Great Parks of Hamilton County, and we have Julie Robinson with us from Great Parks. We've been lucky to see Julie in action. She was able to do a virtual program for our own Adopt a Class mentor team. So we're so excited for her to share out what she has from Great Parks.
Thank you. And since I'm kind of like the middle speaker of the group, I think we probably need a stretch break. So go ahead and put your arms up a little bit. Do some of these up here. Now I want you to take your hands and put them together like this, and then wave them on the side of your head. And just listen. Now take your hands and open up your fingers. Do it again. You may or may not notice a difference, but this is one of the activities we can do with kids. And then we show them different types of feathers to talk about the difference between hawks and owls. At Great Parks, we are all about local wildlife, native wildlife. So we try to talk about the nature that's happening right here in your students' backyards, where they are. So we're going to be talking about the local owls and hawks. We might be talking about local species of toads, frogs. It's springtime. I had to bring my totem, sorry. But all of our programming, all of our virtual programming that we do is typically live. It's all live action. Typically we have 2 interpreters that will be presenting. If you follow one of our school lesson plans, which I'll get to in a minute, you'll have one instructor outside and one instructor inside. So they kind of flip-flop between each other in the content so that the kids can have that sort of outside experience on the computer and see some of the activity that's going on in the parks that are right here. Our virtual programs last about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the topic or what the classroom need is. And the fee right now, all of our programming that is for schools that are at a 50% or higher free and reduced lunch and are located in Hamilton County are all covered by a grant. So if you fall into that, you're within Hamilton County schools and you are free and reduced lunch by 50% or higher, then your programming would be free. Those of you that would not fall into that, a program is $35 for a flat fee of one class. And all of that is located on our website, and you should have the link to our actual program. So our school programs are divided out by grade level. So we have kindergarten through 5th grade, and there are several programs for each of those grade levels that are kind of preset lesson plans that definitely meet the learning standards for that grade level. But we also have the ability to kind of customize. So if you are following an Adopt a Class lesson plan and you want to talk about, well, we just did one on masks for a group. So they had to talk about masks and how those, we brought in some animals for our portion of it and said, hey, look at these animals and how would they wear masks and why would they wear masks, and how we kind of put a little spin on it so it can fit into a lesson plan that you might already need to teach or want to teach. Or we can do the whole thing. So you can say, hey, do something on masks, but it has to have a nature spin to it. So you can keep that in mind, whether you want a predetermined lesson plan or something that is fitting into the needs of your group. As of May 1st, we are able to do in-person programming for groups of 15 or less. So if you have a small class and you can bring them and you want to bring them out to the parks, we can schedule that for you as well. But again, those are after May 1st, and we do have to keep the numbers down low. Let's see. And the other good thing is for all of our programs, we're willing to work with the teachers, with you. If each student has a device, we can do the program. If it's one classroom that's looking at one screen, we can do that as well. So we can be pretty adaptable, you know, accommodating to what your needs are. And as far as scheduling goes, the best way, and again, it's in the power or the slideshow as well, so you have access to it. But you can go to our website at greatparks.org. If you go under Discovery and under Teachers, you can see those lesson plans. But you can simply email school programs at Hamilton County, or yeah, at greatparks.org, sorry. And that will get to the person that would be scheduling your program. We are currently divided up into regions, and they kind of, depending on which region you're in or which program you choose, different regions are covering those virtual programs. And I think that's it. So thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Yeah, and as Julie said, you will have all of that information on programming and contact information and all of that in the follow-up email that we send you all after today's session. Next up, we have Allison Summers from iSpace, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the virtual programming that they have available. So Allison, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Rachel. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Summers, and I'm an educator with iSpace, and we are the STEM learning place. So here at iSpace, we've always strived to inspire that next generation of STEM professionals. And with the pandemic, we have learned to adapt. We have always wanted to have a lot of hands-on experience for our students so that they would really understand what it means to be a scientist or an engineer. We are still currently offering outreach classes where we are going into classrooms if that school does allow it. Some do and some do not. In the case where we are not allowed to enter that school building, we do have some very interactive virtual programming that we have been offering throughout the school year. Next slide, please. With that programming, we have been using something called Nearpod. And so it is not a program where students are just sitting in front of a screen and listening to what we have to say. They are actually interacting throughout, whether it be 360-degree virtual field trips, different activities. They're constantly interacting with us with some of those different activities, typing, asking questions, and doing some different virtual experiments and lab opportunities as well. I wanted to go ahead and highlight a couple of the different virtual programming options that we are offering. In our Day of the Life of an Astronaut class, students become an astronaut in the newest class of astronauts. They're going to train like an astronaut. They're going to travel to the International Space Station and really learn about what it's like to live and work and conduct experiments in space. So it's a very interactive class, as well as introducing students to some of the different STEAM jobs that are needed to help an astronaut complete a successful space mission. So it's never too early to start thinking about what these young students want to do when they grow up. Next slide, please. You may have heard in the news the excitement with Perseverance landing on Mars. And we have a class that is going to teach all of those current events about Mars. Students will have the opportunity to go on a 360-degree virtual field trip on Mars as they research what that planet is like. And then they'll be given the ultimate challenge to have to build a Mars lander. So we'll learn about those that have already landed on Mars, and then students are going to have to build their own lander that will be the first lander to land on Mars carrying actual astronauts. So they will be learning about the engineering design process in this class. Next slide, please. You may have heard before we can actually get to Mars, NASA is hoping to return to the moon on the Artemis mission. And here in this class, students will become engineers and they will join NASA's team as they study the moon and build a lunar lander that will successfully help bring people back to the moon surface and possibly build that moon base. Next slide, please. So here you can see some of the different interactive experiments that we do. Some of our classes are interactive, where they're using that computer being interactive, and others also have kits. So for our landers classes, we will drop off kits at that school, so the kids will have all of the supplies that they need to build those landers. In our matter and energy class, after doing some experiments virtually, the kids will have the opportunity to build their own robot that lights up as we explore and learn about circuits. And again, they'll have all of those kits and supplies dropped off, trying to combine that virtual experience with some hands-on experience as well. Next slide, please. And Scientist is a class for some of our youngest scientists, looking at some different hands-on experiments that we can do and conduct. And it really centers on a story, looking at some of the science in children's literature. So here at iSpace, we really like to inspire those from pre-K all the way up through elementary and middle school, all the way through high school, of really just challenging them to have that hands-on experience of STEM activities. And so all of our curriculum is based on Ohio State Learning Standards as well. And these are just some of the classes that we are offering. Next slide, please. We are still offering in-person outreach classes, as well as would be happy to customize any class for you if there's a certain topic in that STEM realm of topics that you would like us to present and work out. Most of our programs range from about 60 minutes to about 90 minutes based on that age group of those kids. But again, we can accommodate whatever type of class that you are looking for. So if you're interested in getting more information about our classes, you can find that on ispacestem.org, or you can contact info@ispacestem.org to contact us directly with any questions that you might have about scheduling a program with iSpace. Thanks so much for letting me join you today.
Thank you so much, Allison. If you guys have any questions for Allison, go ahead and put them in the chat. And we have a few more presentations to get to. Next up, we have the Children's Theater of Cincinnati. Unfortunately, Angelo, the education director from the Children's Theater, was not able to join us today, but he did send us some slides. So I'm going to go over those for him really quickly. About some of the virtual experiences that they have available to you from the Children's Theater of Cincinnati. And so the programming options are available mainly through two different platforms, the first being Broadway On Demand and the second being Academy Scholars. So Broadway On Demand offers a variety of professional recorded and edited productions that you all would be able to stream with your classroom. And this is a list of all of the productions that they have for the 2020-2021 season. And if you go with this program, you're given access and instruction to all of those, to whatever program that you choose to do on demand. So you can see they have some really good options available and a lot of variety as well. The second program option available is called Academy Scholars, and it is a virtual programming option that has STEAM modules that can be purchased as a package for the entire school, or you could purchase it for just your team and for just the classroom that you adopt. And so they do have a breakdown depending on what grade band you serve as mentors. So you can do first grade with their math and multiplying by threes program. For second and third grades, they have an ELA, acronyms and conjunctions option. And then for fourth and fifth grade, they have an American history option for Academy Scholars about the preamble. So those are just a quick overview of their programs. More information on all of those specifics is available at their website at thechildrenstheater.com. And I will also share out Angelo's contact information in the follow-up email that will go out this afternoon in case you are interested in learning any more about what's available at the Children's Theater. And finally, I'm going to give a quick overview, even though we've just gotten all of these great virtual field trip options and programming from our partners. Adopt a Class also recommends possibly creating your own virtual field trip. And you will hear from one of our partners, UC Health, here in a second, who actually did that. And so I'm going to have them talk a little bit about what they did and how it was easy for them. So one of the virtual final options is to do it yourself. And you can create your own virtual field trip, take a virtual field trip of your company, give your students a tour of where you typically work, introduce different staff members, whether that's just hopping on a Zoom call and talking about what each of you do in your roles and responsibilities, what you do every day, how you do it, and how all of it has changed since COVID has happened. And also maybe like why you do it, what brought you to do the job that you do. And so for many mentors, it can kind of seem like a daunting task to create your own virtual field trip. But we have created a step-by-step guide on how to film a virtual field trip and maybe what content to cover as well. So by following these guidelines, we hope to simplify that process for you and give a meaningful experience to all that are involved, not only for the students, but also for the mentors as well. And like I said, we have one partner left that's going to speak, and that's going to be UC Health, who filmed their own field trip. And that will be available for all of you to use as well if you want to show your class. And that is going to be on our YouTube channel. And so I will turn it over to Dan Maxwell from UC Health. And I also saw that his coworker, Tamara Lang, also popped on. But they're going to talk about the day in the life of an X-ray technician that they filmed as a virtual field trip option for us.
Well, thanks, Rachel, for that wonderful kickoff. And thank you for the partnership as well. It's been really great hearing all the other organizations talk about what you guys do. It's been really inspiring and exciting. Also, just to kind of see how we've all come together to help students this year. And one of the things that we have done historically and typically in a normal year has been bring students into the hospital just to see the diversity of careers in healthcare. I know when I was growing up, I kind of thought doctors and nurses, and that was really kind of it. And I didn't think of myself as having a career in healthcare. So we wanted to highlight one of our professional groups that wasn't doctors or nurses, and we thought an X-ray technician would be a really cool way to get in and see some of the cool technology that they use on a day-to-day basis, and also just to ask them some questions a little bit about what they do, how they got to where they are, what kind of classes they liked when they're in school. So we put together a pretty tight 5-minute video of coming in, and they were kind enough to take some of their workday to let us and our marketing crew come in and ask questions. But it's pretty cool. They took a cell phone and put it on some of the X-ray imaging machine and pulled it up on their monitor to show kind of this is how it works and this is some of the things we look at. So really kind of, I think they packed a lot of information into that short video. But I would also just encourage, as Rachel kind of mentioned, it really was a fun project. I think it's something that a lot of people could get involved in and just really show not only the diversity of careers in healthcare, but the diversity of careers that we have to offer in our greater Cincinnati backyard area. And really just that there's a lot of neat things going on this year. So I don't think there's time to show the video, but I do know Rachel's going to share that out, and really encourage those mentors to take a look. And I think it has some valuable information. Sorry, a siren just went by. And for others to put together a video similar, and I think we can really show a lot of what our region has to offer.
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it. And yes, we will be sharing that out with everybody today following today's session. That will be in our follow-up email, so you all can get an idea of what that's going to look like. And then I think that was our last presentation. So we can go over to the Q&A part of today's session. Let's take a look at the chat first and see what questions there are, and then we can kind of open it up and see if there are any additional ones. So I think the first question is for the Cincinnati Zoo regarding the financial assistance that is available. Where can they access that application? And does the Adopt a Class team lead fill out that application, or should it go to their teacher to fill out?
Excellent. So the link for that, so if you go on the main Cincinnati Zoo page, education, then go to the field trips, there's actually a link onto there. It's a lot easier than me going click here, 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 and here. It can take a lot of heavy clicking, but that application is right there on the website. It will probably be easiest for the teacher who will be the one checking in to do that, because there's probably going to be a few questions on there that they'll need to answer. And one of the things that will be on there as well will be they'll need to upload a statement of need. So they'll need to show either a letter from the principal or something like Kids Count that shows that 60% or more of their students are free reduced lunch. So that will be on there as well. So it might be easiest for those to fill out, for them to fill out. You could do it as the Adopt a School. Just make sure that the address and some of the address information, school information is in there, but then you can put in the adopter's information. Just let us know that that contact person is the adopter, just so we know who we're talking to when we get in there and when we put things in. Another important thing is when you do come with your Adopt a School, the lead teacher will go in, but also probably the lead adopter as well should go up to the front so that they can have the total numbers of not just the students and teachers, but also the adopters who are coming in, because we want to make sure that we count everybody. And that's regardless if you do grant or non-grant. The grant only covers the number of students. It doesn't cover adults over the 1-to-7 ratio. So if you had 100 kids and 100 adults, then a portion of those 100 adults will be the $7 school rate.
Great, thank you so much. Another question that we had in the chat was for iSpace. Someone asked, can you share a little bit more about your pricing and the cost of the programs?
Sure, I would be happy to talk about that. So with our programming for the virtual program, for a day in a life, we do not have a hands-on component. It is just interactive. So it is a lower price point. I believe it's $125. Our programming that requires hands-on kits for each student to have is going to be a little bit more than that cost. We are oftentimes having some different sponsors come through where we do offer some grant-based funding for classrooms that meet that 100% free and reduced lunch is often available to cover some of those fees. But again, that is a first come, first serve. And so we do not always have extra funds. Sometimes they've been used up for that year, but those are often available too.
Great, thank you. Another question that we had in the chat was, where can I find that step-by-step guide for how to film my own field trip? We will include that in the follow-up message about how to create your own field trip. That will be, that guide will have it available for download so you can see that. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for all of our partner organizations while they're here? If you do, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, as I said, all of the information that was shared out today will be in our follow-up email that we will send out. If you have any questions, once you get that email, just reply to it with your question. We can make sure that it gets to the right person and connect you with the right organization and get you any answers that you may need. as we said at the beginning, please feel free to do more than one of the field trips that was shared out today. Maybe a good goal is to do all 8 from all of our partner organizations with your class. And you can just, all of these opportunities for virtual field trips are truly unlimited for the rest of the school year. So please plan on taking advantage of those throughout your mentoring sessions. I think that about covers everything. So thank you again for everyone for joining us. We really do appreciate everything that you all do on a daily basis for us and the students that we serve. It means a lot. And we're so grateful to have incredible volunteers like you that help us achieve our mission every day. And so please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We're happy to help. And I think that is all. So thank you all so much and have a great day.